Today we're telling our story of recovery. Our story's not over. It's not like we're through to the other side at almost 2 years in. We still have hard days. We still have hard weeks, and we're in this process. I had a friend of mine say to me yesterday, a healing journey isn't something that happens, it's something that's happening.
Welcome to the Betrayal, Recovery, Transformation podcast, where we explore the journey from heartbreak to healing and transformation. Here are your hosts, Chris Rocha and Jen Howie.
Welcome, everyone, back to the podcast. I'm so happy to be back in the saddle. There's been a little break, and here we are. Unfortunately, Jen can't be with us today. She's got some family stuff going on, just some health issues. All is well, so she is away from the podcast today. Today on the podcast, we have Clinton and Nikki Mitchell. I met both of them at the SILS conference. That's the Sexual Integrity Leadership Summit in Portland last year. And Nikki has quickly become an inner circle person and friend, because when you meet someone that's cut from the same cloth, and when you meet someone who speaks the betrayal language, you're just in. There's a familiarity there. So that's Nikki. Clinton, her husband, is here today, and I'm going to introduce you all in just a minute. But I just want to say you are the first person who's the struggling spouse on the podcast.
So honored to be here.
I'm just thrilled that you are. And I'm so excited for our audience is primarily women, for the women to hear your story and your heart in all of this. So
thank you.
Nikki and Clinton, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
It's really good to be here with you.
A little intro for the listeners. Nikki and Clinton have been married for over 31 years. And in early marriage, they attended Elam Bible College. They spent many years in ministry together, and everything looked good from the outside. But in 2024, God invited the couple to a journey of transformation. Clinton revealed a dark secret held for many years that prevented the deep connection they both longed for in their marriage and apparently knew was missing. After sorting through the wreckage, the Lord led Clinton and Nikki on a path to healing, freedom, and redemption, and they are passionate about what they've learned on the way back. They documented their journey in a book titled Glory from the Ashes that is available on Amazon, by the way. Glory from the Ashes by Nikki and Clinton Mitchell. And today we get to hear all about what they discovered in their book firsthand. So again, welcome to the podcast.
Thank you.
Thank you.
If you guys could tell the listeners a little bit more about yourselves and your story, give us an overview and tell us what's in your book.
All right.
Okay, here we go.
All right.
So our story, my story, begins like so many other stories that I'm just going to kind of cut to the chase and say that childhood wounding plus early teen porn exposure equals unhealthy coping and medicating pain.
Yeah. So we started dating at 16, and 3 years later, we're engaged. And during that process, Clinton revealed to me that he had a struggle with pornography. And he made it sound like it was in the past, so I wasn't super concerned. But I think we both had the assumption that marriage is the magic pill that's just going to fix all that.
Yep.
And we'll be fine, because why would that be a problem once we're married?
Right.
And so we started on this unhealthy dance of, I would discover something, maybe it's long ago, it was a receipt, or it's something in a search bar and that he forgot to delete or whatever. And I would bring that to Clinton. He would say, oh, well, yeah, I've been struggling. I'm sorry. And I'll do better. And we kind of just cooperate to sweep this under the rug. And both of us being conflict avoidant and not having great communication skills, we kept going around the same mountain over and over again. So this happened throughout the first, decade or so of our marriage. And I got to a point where I was the only one engaging this and bringing it up. And we had a particularly difficult conversation one day. And I left that and just made sort of a silent vow in my heart. I'm not going to bring it up anymore.
Yeah.
I'm not going to look for it. I'm going to stick my head in the sand and pretend like this problem just doesn't exist in our marriage.
Yeah.
And so that's what I did.
Mm-hmm. So, as every addiction does, it wants more. It's never satisfied. And so, in this season, I found myself kind of leaning into the validation of a woman at work, and began a very unhealthy emotional entanglement.
Yeah, and during that time, I was aware of his coworkers and had relationship with them, and I something just felt off, and I didn't really know what to do with that. So I started to voice my discomfort, and at first it was just sort of dismissal of, "Oh, you have nothing to worry about. Like there's nothing, there's no problem. She's just a friend from work." And some time would go by and I'd bring it up again and same thing. And more time goes by and now it's defensive. And now it's gaslighting and it's, you are my wife. Why are you even asking me this?
Mhm.
There is nothing. So stop asking me about it, essentially. And so after months and months and months, the Lord brought me to a situation where he said, I want you to look up the phone records. And so I got on the computer and I'm looking and there's her number and there's her number and there's texts and just call after call and text after text. And so I worked up the nerve really to confront because that was not in my nature to do. And I confronted Clinton about it and I handed him the phone records and said, this is not okay with me. And so we worked on resolving things with our pastor and his wife over many months. Clinton ended things and we kind of had the idea in my mind of like, we need to recover from this emotional affair because that's what I assumed that it was.
Yeah. So, Nikki, assuming that it was this emotional affair, and I was happy to let her believe that. But in reality, it was also sexual in nature for most of that season. And I was just going to take it to the grave. Like, there's no sense in me even bringing that up. We already have gotten this far. So that's going to just go with me to the grave.
Yeah. So we really did work on our emotional connection with our pastor and his wife. And because I assumed that's what was missing, that our friendship was broken. And so that's what I put my effort into for us, working on that emotional reconnection. And for years and years, I thought we were good.
Yeah.
I thought people would look at us from the outside in and say, oh, I want to have a friendship and a relationship and a marriage like Clinton and Nikki. It was like outside looking in, people just had no idea what was going on under the surface.
Yeah. This is where I didn't really understand that sexual addiction had two parts to it, right? Like I knew about the whole acting out part of things, and that made a lot of sense to me because I'm in the middle of it. But what I didn't understand is that it also has that mental draw where it's like a smoldering pathway to escape and medicate pain, just constant.
So in fast forward to 2023, we were in a season of a lot of stress. We owned our own business. So it was just, stress was heavy at that time. And I accidentally found porn on Clinton's iPad because remember, I wasn't looking for it for years. And so at this point, I'm not the same woman that I was when we were married as 19-year-olds. I was not the same person. I had done a lot of work with the Lord around my identity. And so we're not sweeping anything under the rug at this point.
So you're not conflict avoidant anymore? Is that what I'm hearing?
I think it's not necessarily that I wasn't conflict avoidant, but I was willing to engage hard conversations because I was secure in my identity where that was very shaky before. Mm-hmm. Yeah. And so I had known about Pure Desire Ministries. And so I began to attend a Betrayal and Beyond group in our location here. And I highly encouraged Clinton to get involved with a 7 Pillars men's
Was it
group.
highly encouraged with a boot mark on his back?
Oh yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right. That's
he came in from work one day and I was just furious. And I said, here's the address of where you're going tonight at 6:30. They're expecting you. So, yeah, you're
Wow.
going.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Yep.
But it was an opportunity, I think. It took a while to really get sort of ready to open up in the
Any kind of
group.
traction. Yeah,
Yeah,
for
but
sure.
it really was the first time in our marriage that we were engaging this topic with other people and
Yeah.
not just trying to, deal with it in-house.
Yeah. Yeah. So, so months go by. I'm in the group. She's in a group. We start therapy with a CSAT, and in that therapy sessions, as we were going through them, he suggests a full therapeutic disclosure. Remember, Nikki didn't know that it was a sexual affair at this point, and so I'm taking that to the grave, and so I begin writing this disclosure letter, and it's going to reflect all that. I am simply going to lie my way through this one more time because that's what I'm really good at.
Yeah. So in the process, I decided to ask for a polygraph test and as part of the disclosure. And that news was pretty surprising for Clinton and I think maybe a little traumatic.
Yeah, I think you're right.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I had really crafted this disclosure letter to keep my secret hidden deep in the basement.
Mhm.
And so when I find out about the polygraph, I just have this shell shock, really, for a
Mhm.
little bit, 30 seconds maybe or so. And in that, I think it was just enough um, of an experience for me to connect with Jesus a little bit and him to extend me an invitation. And his invitation, he said to me, was for freedom. And I thought that that was freedom from sexual addiction. Um, but he meant it to be freedom holistically.
Hmm.
And so I knew that revealing all the stuff that I had to reveal, I could lose everything. I'll lose, I might lose my wife. I might lose my children. I'll lose the house, lose the job, lose the business, lose friends, lose family. I could lose everything. And so I had come home and I was looking at the disclosure letters that I'm writing up, and I just sat there for a minute and I just said, Lord, what do I do? I could lose it all. And He said to me, "Yep, you could. You could lose it all." And my question to you, Clinton, is: Am I enough? Am I enough for you? If you did lose Nikki, am I enough? Am I enough if you lost all of it? And I crumbled pretty good on that because I realized that he was. And so ripped up those papers and started writing anew and just decided I'm holding nothing back. No stone unturned.
Yeah. So on May 13th, 2024, I heard the whole truth of our shared reality for the first time in 3 decades. And that was day one of walking toward healing together.
Yeah.
Hmm. Hmm. I think a lot of women who are at the beginning of their journey, or maybe they haven't been through a therapeutic disclosure before, and they fear that. I know I was one of those people. So many people say, "Oh, taking it to the grave." That the old school way of thinking is it's cruel for you to dump all your baggage on your spouse. You made this bed, you get to lay in it, tell your grave. So that's not nice. That's not kind for you to disclose that to her. And yet we know better now that it's necessary. And if we want that emotional intimacy in our marriage, and even something else you're going to talk about later, a different kind of intimacy, we've got to be fully seen, fully known, and fully honest in our marriage. So you just said that was day one of walking toward healing. In that moment, did you think, I can't do this?
I
Or
think I had prepared my heart kind of for the worst. I didn't know what I was gonna hear, but I just knew. I think the Holy Spirit kind of prepared me that um, you're going to hear some really hard things. And I knew that God was big enough to help me through it. Um,
I,
Divorce never really crossed my mind. I knew that I've said this before, like, he's my person.
Mm-hmm.
This guy is my person. We grew up together. We have spent 3 decades of our life together, and our children and our family. And so, um, that wasn't necessarily a question in my mind of leaving or being done. I just knew that we were facing a huge challenge, that we were gonna have to do this together or it wasn't gonna work. It wasn't gonna work for me to do the hard work or only him to do the hard work. We say very often when we talk to people that disclosure day was a line in the sand for us. And we were very acutely aware that everything before that is old Clinton and old Nikki. And everything after disclosure is the new us. And we both have had to walk in newness in this journey because that doesn't excuse anything of what Clinton chose to do. But we both walked in dysfunction in our relationship. Just the fact that I wasn't willing to do conflict and engage the hard things for so many years, I had to learn how to do that now, or we're going to be in the same boat that we were in before, just a different flavor.
yeah.
So,
Um, yes, I like that line in the sand metaphor. I can that makes so much sense to me. And something else you said earlier, Nikki, that I resonate with because I think our listeners know I'm a betrayal recovery and identity coach, and it's like the betrayal recovery is the first stuff we got to get through, and all of that that it entails, like family of origin, wounding, and trauma, and stuff that comes with all of that. But the identity piece is huge in recovery because when we know who we are and we know how intentionally and beautifully and purposely we were made and put here for such a time as this, it's so much easier that confidence. Not because I'm awesome, but because our God, our creator, is awesome. And he said, I'm good. And he put me together this way. So knowing our identity is, don't you think, it's just such a huge, huge plus? It's like if you're a gamer, it's a buff. My next question for you is at the time of this recording, D Day was about 2 years ago, a little less than 2 years ago. And yet I've said to you, Nikki, privately, that your healing is exponentially quicker than any other healing I've seen. What do you credit that to?
so that's a loaded question with a lot of details playing into the answer. But first, I just want to give a quick caveat because every every story of healing is different. Um, Today we're telling our story of recovery. Okay, so our story's not over. It's not like we're through to the other side at almost 2 years in. We still have hard days. We still have hard weeks. And we're in this process. I had a friend of mine say to me yesterday, a healing journey isn't something that happens, it's something that's happening. It keeps going, it keeps continuing. So at the time of disclosure, we were empty nesters, we had our own business, and so we had flexibility of time and resources. We both agreed that we wanted to use savings for all the therapy that
Yeah.
it was going to require for both of us to get through this. And so we were on the same page with that. And I was walking my recovery journey. Clinton was walking his recovery journey, but then at the very same time, we were walking together this road to healing in our relationship, in the coupleship. We were walking that. So I just want to encourage people that regardless of the speed of your recovery, that we believe that the road there towards healing is the same.
Yeah. We could literally take weeks, lots and lots of podcasts to answer this question. But the most concise way that I can convey what's happening is that I'm not focused on recovering from sexual addiction.
And that might sound counterintuitive. And in the same way, my focus is not simply on recovering from betrayal trauma.
Yeah. Our focus is every single day to focus on the transformation of our character into that to be more like Jesus Christ. That's our
Yeah,
focus.
yeah. Otherwise, we're back to behavior management and we're back to trying to walk out programs. But this recovery journey is about relationship.
Yeah, but don't get me wrong, I'm still using tools, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm still calling my guys, and
Mhm.
I still have software on my devices, and I still live an honest and open and transparent relationship with Nikki and with others. And I listen to copious amounts of wonderful podcasts and read books about sexual addiction because it helps me understand my journey.
Yeah, and if he's only doing those things to check a box or to keep him away from sinful behavior, then he's focused on the wrong thing.
Yeah.
These tools are so important for both of us. They help me feel safe when he's doing those things. It keeps him safe when he's doing those things.
Mhm.
But we can't think of those tools as barriers that just protect Clinton from sexually acting out. They are actually stepping stones that can propel us in walking toward Jesus.
Yeah. I walk those stones every day.
Yeah.
Right. And it puts us on the same team at that point, because it doesn't have to be me recovering from sexual addiction and Nikki recovering from betrayal trauma. We're not only walking away from something, we're now also walking towards Jesus together.
And in this sense, I am Clinton's biggest cheerleader. I am cheering him on. And it's not so that he stops looking at porn. I'm cheering him on so that he's running hard after Jesus
Yeah.
every day.
And I get to be Nikki's biggest cheerleader, not so that she can stop being triggered one day, but so that she falls in love with Jesus over and over and
Yeah.
over again.
Yeah. And this takes humility. It takes humility. And it seems obvious to point out that it would take humility on Clinton's part in this journey and the choices that he's made. He
Mhm.
needs to walk in humility, obviously.
Mhm.
But it's probably an uncomfortable or maybe even unpopular sentiment to say that I need to choose humility too. I need to walk in humility. Not to say that I had anything to do with him making those choices,
Right.
but regardless of the circumstances, the first step toward Jesus for any one of us is humility.
Yeah.
I just want to throw in there that when you said about your during your therapeutic disclosure that the Lord told you were going to hear some hard things and He was preparing you, and I was asking what was your reaction afterward? What was that like for you? I remember a time as I was pursuing my healing, probably 5 months in, where the Lord kind of spoke to me again, like you just said, Nikki, unpopular. I need some humility. Where He basically said, "Todd is your husband. He's also your brother in Christ, and I am putting you." He just kind of laid on my heart. He's part of your calling. Because marriage, sure, can be romantic. It can be hard. It can be neutral. It can be routine. It can be exciting and wonderful and awesome. But it's not just here for our entertainment. It's not here, He's not supposed to be, I love what you said, Clinton, when Jesus asked you, "Am I enough?" He's supposed to be our all in all. And so it was when the Lord kind of told me, "Your husband, and what would you stay? Would you abide?" Is what He said to me. "Would you abide? Would you just kind of hang out while I work on him? Would you be a steady? Would you be an anchor? Pray for him, walk with him, encourage him while I do a work in him. And my ways are not your ways, and my thoughts are not your thoughts." And so it kind of sounds like you had that sort of inkling as well. And so I think that just ties right into what what you
Sure.
shared.
Yeah,
Yeah.
So
we're
good.
we're walking this road together. That's what it looks like. And I know that's not an easy thought. And some people aren't in a place where both people are 100% in the mindset of I'm ready to do this hard work.
Yeah.
And I, That's not the case in every story. But we approached this, like I said, from day one, that we are both doing our work separately, but we're doing this work together as well, walking together.
And
Yeah,
having a hard conversation, all of
All
those
of
for
things
sure, for
Mhm.
sure.
requires humility.
It does.
So there are so many people who are in a marriage because you were talking about checking boxes. We graduate from high school, we go to college, we get married, we buy a house with a white picket fence, we become soccer parents, then we retire, right? Like there's all these boxes we check, and marriage is part of that. But it's so much more than that. It's a supernatural covenant.
It
And
is.
and it
Yes.
can be part of our calling. Like God is using, here's the iron sharpening iron. I'm looking at you too.
Absolutely.
There it is.
Mhm.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
So during your healing journey, as you're pursuing individual healing and cheering each other on, but also then their fruit is in the marriage, you guys did something crazy. You wrote a book while you were in recovery, while you were going through all this pain and
Yeah.
torment and figuring out which end was up. Tell me about that. In the second half of your book, also, you talk about several tools that helped you, and I would love to know what some of your favorite tools were.
Yeah.
So, what the heck, guys?
Yeah.
How?
We don't know if we could really answer how, right? Like,
I think that it's a really special thing, honestly, when I think about it, that in real time, we are walking through this journey, and the Lord was asking us to journal and write down what we were going through.
Mhm.
And then months later, he kind of prompted us both and said, I want you to write this story down. I want you to tell the story of what I'm doing in you. And so it was just an incredible journey. We look back on that now, and, almost 2 years in, just the other day, I was like, would you change anything about our book? And absolutely not.
I
We
wouldn't.
would not change one thing, because I really believe that that's how it transpired. That's how it went. Those
Yeah.
are the things that we used. Those are the tools that we went through.
Mhm.
And it worked for us.
Yeah. Now, not to say that I thought that was a horrible idea at the time,
Yeah.
right? Like, I mean,
Ah,
nobody should write. We had friends of ours that wrote a marriage book, but they'd only been married a few years. And it just was like kind of cringy. Like, what do you know in a few years of marriage that you could write a book
yeah.
about? And we didn't want to be that next people, right? Like, oh, we're going to write a recovery book in the middle of this recovery.
Yeah.
Like, it just sounded like a horrible idea.
And really, I'm not sure that it's so much of a recovery book.
Right.
Like we say that in the preface, this isn't a how-to book.
No.
This is a engaging with your spouse
Mhm.
in a deeper walk with Jesus together.
Yeah.
I'm sure we're going to talk about that in a moment, but this is laying out how we pursued one another in healing, yes, but pursued Jesus wholeheartedly
Mhm.
in our life to walk through something really hard. Reading our book is not necessarily that you have to have gone through or are going through betrayal of any kind.
Right.
It's really for marriage in general, on how do we walk this road, this covenant relationship of marriage that Jesus says is portraying his relationship with the church.
Mhm.
This is a mirror, a picture of how that should look. How do we do that well? How do
Yeah.
we honor him well in our covenant relationship?
Yeah. So good.
So that's a lot of why we
Yeah.
wrote the book. Yeah.
Yeah. But as to like, what are some of the tools? I love this question, right?
Okay.
Because I I reads loose. I listen to a lot of books on tape, and I
Consume a lot of books.
Yes.
yes, and I listen to a lot of podcasts, and they all have, lots of them have really good information.
Wait,
And-
Clinton. Did we just become best friends?
I think so. I think so.
Are you a nerd? Are you a data miner?
No, I'm
Oh,
not.
we're not best
I'm
friends.
not a data miner. No, definitely
But you
not.
do listen to
But
a
I
lot
do
of
listen to a lot of books. Yeah.
I'm so curious, and I consume a lot of podcasts and audiobooks because I'm so curious.
Yeah.
You as well?
I do get curious like that. And I think what I find, though, which is a little bit frustrating, kind of goes to the point of at the end of lots of books or podcasts, I end up kind of feeling a little underwhelmed that they had these great concepts, but they didn't exactly tell me how to do it.
Yeah.
They didn't. It was good, but I just don't know how to put rubber to the road.
And we're missing the nuts and bolts of
Yeah.
things. So that's what we wanted to do in our book, is give some like tangibles that you can leave with something in your hand instead
Yeah.
of, that's a great idea, but what do I do with it?
Yeah.
Mhm.
So we had a myriad of tools along this journey that were so valuable. But I think it would be fun that today we actually give one tool so that people that are listening, they leave this podcast with an actual tool that they can use today
Yeah.
in their
Put it in
everyday
your tool
life.
belt, ready to go.
Yes. All
Let's
right.
go.
Okay.
Yeah.
So what we want to unpack, it has to do with appreciation and gratitude. And you might be thinking, I already do that. I have a gratitude journal beside my bed, and every night I write down my 5 things I'm grateful for. That's
Mhm.
wonderful. Keep
Awesome.
doing
Spoken like
that.
a true graduate of Betrayal and Beyond.
Right.
Keep doing that.
Mhm.
And we want to kind of level up to add some exponential value to what you're getting when you actually do take time to do appreciation and gratitude. And for our purposes, the words appreciation, gratitude, thanksgiving, they're interchangeable. They're all the same concept. Okay. So I want to unpack real quick a little bit of the brain science behind this. So just like a car runs on fuel, if you want to go on a trip and you have no gas in the tank, you're not going anywhere. So in the same way, God designed our brains to run on joy as the fuel for our emotional work that we have to do.
Yeah.
And let's face it, in betrayal trauma recovery, there's a lot of emotional work, right?
Hey, getting out of bed is emotional work.
Mm.
You know?
Being human. Okay.
Yep.
Being human is
Yeah.
emotional work. And so we need joy in our lives to be able to do that work that we're doing. We have a friend, Michael Hendricks, that says appreciation is the on-ramp to joy. Okay. So we all have a joy tank, just like our car has this fuel tank. We have a joy tank. And if we're low joy, we have very little in the tank for our joy levels, then we're going to have a hard time doing this work that we need to do.
Yeah.
So here's how it plays out. We need relationship to cultivate joy. Joy is not something that we do on our own. Joy is done in community.
Yeah. And it's best if it's face to face.
Yes, face to face is best, but even if it's voice, you hear the voice of the other person. So the practical application is that we regularly will do 3 gratitude statements back and forth. We share this with each other. So the first one is something that you're grateful for in general. So Clinton, maybe give us an example of what that might sound like.
Okay. I am grateful that my adult children want to spend time with me.
Yeah. It doesn't have to be that way, does it?
No.
Yeah.
Nope. Doesn't
Yeah.
have to be that way.
So something in general. And then we will exchange an appreciation of something to the Lord, maybe his character or.
Okay. I'm grateful to the Lord that I feel like he extends me an invitation to be new every day.
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
That's refreshing. And then the third one is something that you're grateful to the other person for specifically.
Okay. Nikki, just like my kids, I'm really grateful that you want to spend time with me.
Yes.
Because it doesn't have to be that way.
Doesn't have to be that way, yeah.
Right.
So anyway, just this simple practice, but the research shows that if we'll spend 5 minutes on appreciation and gratitude 3 times in the day, consistently for 30 days, that we actually change the default setting in our brains to joy instead of fear and anxiety or anger or sadness, these big, strong emotions. It will change the default to joy.
Yeah, there's another system in our brain that kind of works in a similar function like this. It's called the reticular activating system. We've all experienced it. You need to buy a new car. So you do your little research and you data mine all the details about the new car that you want to do, right? and then um, and then you purchase the new car, and as soon as you do, you start seeing that model of car everywhere,
Yep.
Yeah.
right?
Totally happens.
Yes.
Because your brain, whatever it's focused on, is what you start perceiving,
Yeah.
right? And so as we start focusing ourselves on joy and appreciation, we start recognizing more appreciation.
And looking for it.
Yeah.
Yeah. So let's bring this home for a moment, speaking directly to the listeners, the betrayed partners who are here today. Um, I know from my story that it was very easy for me to get stuck in a loop of negative emotion, ruminating thoughts or memories or triggers that come up. Like we spin in this loop cycle. And if I can have the presence of mind and awareness to put one foot outside of that loop and get it firmly planted on the ground in the present, and I start expressing some gratitude. Now, it probably doesn't have anything to do in the moment with what I'm grateful for about this journey, what I'm grateful for about my healing or recovery, but we always have something that we can be grateful for.
Yeah.
And so if I can get my mind pulled out of that loop and focus even just for a little bit on something that I appreciate, then I'm teaching my brain how to return to joy from these big emotions, even though my circumstances haven't changed. In the moment, there's nothing that was fixed, but my brain can return to joy from that hard emotion that I'm experiencing.
Yeah.
Because when it comes down to it, joy is actually knowing that someone is glad to be with me in the middle of my big feelings right now, in the middle of my distress. If someone, I know that they're with me, then I can have joy. And that might be a person, or that might be Jesus in the room with you, knowing that he's there. He's always a good one to show gladness to be with us. He's always glad to be there. So practicing appreciation and gratitude regularly can really put joy back in the tank in a situation that is very draining of joy, if we're honest.
And let me just say that that word is practice.
Yeah.
It's not
Think about it once.
right. Like it's something that you're going to have to probably set an alarm for,
Yeah.
and you're going to have to put into a program for yourself to actually make it happen. And we've just seen drastic difference in our lives by doing that. And now we don't have to actually have that regiment to follow, because our brains kind of have been reset, and we enjoy looking for gratitude. And so it comes a little bit more naturally now, but in the beginning it did not.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah,
Right.
for sure.
Right. Yeah. Especially, in that extreme shock and dismay that both are in different ways in the beginning. Yeah. That does not come innately. I just had to look up some verses, but I mean, just what you're sharing gives all like a whole new meaning to the joy of the Lord is your strength.
Yes. Yes.
Because if joy is our fuel, it's literally like you're consuming protein or something. If you're trying,
Yes.
Right.
if you're lifting weights or whatnot, it's giving you the stamina that you need. And listeners, I just want to refer you all back to episode 13 with Dr. Laura Sanger. The last third of that episode, she talks about exactly what Clinton and Nikki are talking about right now, about practicing gratitude and how that moves things supernaturally. Praying through gratitude is a boulder mover.
Yes, for sure.
Boulder mover, for sure. And I love that you were talking about that this practice renewed your mind, as Christ talks about. So, okay, when someone says the word intimacy and you're talking about a marriage, everyone thinks we're talking about sex, right? So in our healing journey, my husband and I did not know and had never really understood or even thought of the concept of emotional intimacy.
Right.
So we learned that saying the hard things, speaking the truth with love, not being conflict avoidant, saying the hard things, pressing into the uncomfortable to get through to the other side, saying the things that like, oh, I'm so afraid he's going to be mad at me, or I'm so afraid she's going to reject me. If I say these things, like risking and pushing past that to the other side together builds that trust. That's emotional intimacy, game changer.
Mhm.
Affects physical intimacy
Of
hugely.
course.
Mhm.
Now there's another kind of intimacy that we talked with me about. And as iron sharpens iron, I shared this concept with my husband. And he was like, yeah, we need to develop that next. And that is spiritual intimacy. Could you unpack spiritual intimacy for us and how this affected your individual healing and your overall intimacy as married couple?
So this is really kind of the meat and potatoes, if you will, of our healing. So I'll give you the example from Ecclesiastes chapter 4. We've all read it, I'm sure, about the three-stranded cord that's not easily broken, right? And how we've always heard that preached or taught was that you have one strand that is the wife and one strand that's the husband and one strand that's Jesus. And then they usually did some sort of example of braiding them together or whatever, right? Like that was kind of the thought process.
2%.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
We would like to suggest that maybe it's a little bit different. So as we've walked this out, we've noticed that Nikki has a relationship with Jesus. And in her relationship with Jesus, she does all the things that are relationship things.
Oriented.
Yeah. Like you spend time if you're in a relationship, or you talk to if you're in a relationship, or you listen to, or all those different things. We have those relational aspects of that relationship. Nikki has a relationship with Jesus, and she does all those things with Jesus. I have
And that's one strand.
and that is one strand.
That's
That
one
relationship is one strand. I have a relationship with Jesus, and I do all those relationship based things as that other strand. So that relationship is the second strand. And then Nikki and I have a relationship with Jesus
Together.
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 So it's not about us separately at this point, though those are very important, but it's that we do these relationship type things in this relationship with Jesus. So we spend time, we spend time in worship or in prayer.
Yeah.
We listen to Jesus. We talk to Jesus out loud together. We become vulnerable together with Jesus. All those things.
And it was so important for me in recovery to see Clinton's connection to the Lord, because, and then not just hear about it, but actually see it in real time. Because let's face it, in this journey, the struggling spouse is not having a vibrant relationship with Jesus. It's
Correct.
not possible for those to cohabitate in the same place.
Mhm.
And trust is decimated in betrayal. And so there's a portion of time where we need to have these deposits put back in this trust account. Right. And that can happen in lots of ways, but it was vital for me to witness Clinton's authentic connection to the Lord, that wasn't there in the act of addiction. And so this was very comforting to me. It brought me a sense of safety and security, which is vital. That's the first step in this journey, is that we feel safe again. And so seeing him interact with the Lord with me together was a huge game changer in me feeling safe again.
Yeah, but I don't want to leave anybody out, because let's just be honest. Not all couples are going to be on the same page with this.
Yeah.
Typically,
Might not be ready for
yeah,
it.
they might not just be ready for that. And so I want to also say that I have spiritual intimacy with some of my guy friends. And Nikki has intimacy with the tribe of women that she's with. And
with our kids.
with
with
kids,
our friends.
parents, or whatever it is, that spiritual intimacy is created for us to commune with Jesus together.
With others.
With others. So I just because maybe your spouse isn't available for that right now doesn't mean that you can't experience this.
Doesn't leave you out of it.
And it also, I would say, increases the healing in you when you can experience the spiritual intimacy period. Like it's not just because it's your spouse, but whomever you're experiencing spiritual intimacy with,
in your community.
in your community really helps.
There's a quote that we actually use in the dedication of our book from Harville Hendricks that says, "We are born in relationship, we are wounded in relationship, and we can be healed in relationship." So this context of community, of blending our oneness with Jesus and our oneness with other people is very powerful and connecting thing that we can do with one another.
Well, and the opposite of addiction is
Connection. Absolutely.
Yeah.
Connection.
And the fruit of that is sobriety.
Yeah.
But let me go on to say that we should give them an example of, like, again, how do you put this into action?
Okay, so one of the things that we used is something called Emmanuel journaling. And I'll just give a brief overview, but you can also, there's a book called Joyful Journey, which tells all about this process of interacting with the Lord. And so in this process is called interactive gratitude. And so Clinton and I, this is how we would do it. We'd sit down together and I'd put on some just instrumental worship music, and we each had our journal, and we're separately writing just a brief synopsis of like what we're really feeling grateful for in that moment to Jesus. And then pause and kind of ask him, how would you, Lord, respond to my gratitude to you? And you think about this like, let's say you take a child for an ice cream cone, and we've all seen like, oh, they're into it and it's all over their face and their shirt and they're just smiling, a little child. And if they looked up at you and just said, "Thank you so much for this ice cream cone. It's so yummy and I love it." And they're so excited. How would you respond to that child? We'd probably say, "Oh, I'm so happy that you're enjoying that. And it makes
do you want another one?
Yeah, it makes me so glad to buy that for you. I'm so happy with you." Those are the kind of things that a parent would say to a child, or, even thinking about Jesus as our friend. How do friends interact when we share gratitude together? And so this second half of this journal is, how does Jesus respond to my gratitude? How does he want to speak to my heart personally? And then the best part is that we read those out loud to each other. We read them back and forth. So I get to hear how Clinton talks with the Lord back and forth. He gets to see facets of Jesus through me that he might never see any other way. And so it's vulnerable. It's vulnerable work to do this. And at first it was challenging, I think, for both of us, but it's become something that we really treasure doing that. We do that a couple of times a week. There was a point where we did it every single day together in early recovery, but we still do that multiple times a week. And we've, again, not stopping at, okay, my husband would never want to do that with me. All right, you got a girlfriend that might do that with you? Or my adult daughter and I do Emmanuel journaling together and read it to one another. So there's can be an excuse of like, well, that won't work for me. Maybe not in this circumstance right now in your betrayal recovery journey, but let's expand the circle. You can still experience deep spiritual intimacy with other people in your life and in your community.
Yeah.
Okay, so intimacy. There's a little phrase, "into me you see." But you told me that you have an example that has something to do with soda and vinegar. And I'm picturing right now, what is it? Coca-Cola and what is it you drop into it?
Mentos.
Yeah. What does baking soda and vinegar do?
Yes. Okay. So this is about, we're talking about intimacy, and that being a concept of knowing and being known. That it requires both of those things. Okay, so we talked a little bit before about the different kinds of intimacy. It's not just physical. We have lots of different kinds of intimacy, which are basically moments where we get vulnerable, we reveal ourselves, and hopefully the other person is going to reciprocate and reveal some of themselves to us. So, all right, let's pretend like I'm baking soda. So if I want to be known, I want to have a moment of intimacy with you. So I want to be known by you. So I start describing myself and telling you about myself. I'm a white powder and I'm used in baked goods, and I have a salty taste. You might put me in the refrigerator to keep bad smells
Right.
away. Like
Right.
I can tell you all these things
Right.
about myself.
But I want to be known too. And so I'll be vinegar, right? Which, yeah, thanks. And so I'll be this clear liquid, and I have acidic properties, and I have this sharp, sour taste, maybe be used as a cleaning agent, whatever. So I've explained or told or expounded on who I am, and she has too, but we haven't experienced intimacy yet because we haven't actually interacted.
So we've all done the third grade science experiment, right? Where you put baking soda and vinegar together, and then you get this fizzy, bubbly, foamy new thing that happens. And in order for that chemistry to work, literally, both people have to bring enough to the table for that reaction to happen.
Right.
So if I'm going to allow myself to be known and reveal myself, I bring a bucket of my baking soda, and Clinton just brings a teaspoon of his vinegar. It's going to be underwhelming. and vice versa. He's going to reveal himself. He's bringing a gallon of his vinegar, and I just have a quarter teaspoon of my little baking soda that I'm willing to offer. Then it's just not going to be the same.
Yeah.
It's just not going to be the same.
So whether you're talking about marriage or friendships, both people have to choose vulnerability.
Yeah.
They have to reveal themselves. True intimacy is the intermingling and of knowing and being known. That's true intimacy. And so we use that example to kind of help people understand that just revealing who you are doesn't really cause intimacy unless there's interaction between the two.
Yeah.
And that's a risk.
It is. It does require risk. And like we said, that it's extreme vulnerability.
Yes.
But if both people aren't willing to come to the table with exposing themselves and
Appropriate amounts.
yeah, and giving the right amount of this vulnerability together, then the chemistry won't happen.
Yeah. Yeah.
Question: What does knowing all these things now, because this is such meat and potatoes. This is not this is not milk. It's meat and potatoes. How has your life changed in the last 2 years? I mean, I know that's a loaded question, and
Yes.
I'm looking for a brief overview. But Nikki and Clinton before D-Day and Nikki and Clinton now, any thoughts come to mind?
We are very different people.
Yeah.
Than we used to be, both of us.
Yeah.
And I think that goes back to what I said earlier about humility, because every morning, I love the scripture that talks about his mercies are new every morning. And every morning we wake up and we think, all right, Lord, what are you going to do in us today?
Yeah.
How can we be new today? I don't want to be the old version of Nikki anymore. Prior to D-Day, I don't want to be that woman anymore. I want to be who I am becoming in Jesus, because that is my true, authentic self.
I would just say that this lady has become this passionate woman for Jesus. She is closer and more intimate with him in her everyday walk, whether she's at the grocery store or the bank or at home or in the prayer closet. It doesn't really matter. She lives a lifestyle of humility and walking with Emmanuel that I haven't seen ever before in her life.
Yeah.
And that's so different from who she was.
Yeah. And likewise, I mean, from day one after disclosure, this guy has just walked in true humility and shown me more of himself. We just got done talking about knowing and being known. Like there was decades of his life where he wasn't being known by anybody.
Mm.
He was not allowing himself, revealing himself to be known by even his closest community. And at this point, him saying yes to this invitation from Jesus to be seen and known and risk losing it all
And to be free.
and to be free to walk in freedom, not just from a behavior, but walk in freedom to be who God intended him to be as a man is a beautiful thing to witness.
It's awesome, isn't it?
Yeah.
To watch our men become.
Yes.
Yeah. I'm just listening to your words. Thank you for your testimonies. And thank you for sharing those with us. I'm just listening to your words, and our listeners can't see the looks on your faces as you look at each other and describe each other and talk about what God has done. It becomes not about what we did. There's a point where this healing journey becomes about what God has done, and we can share our stories with smiles on our faces, beaming with gratitude.
Yeah.
And it's really cool to see that with both of you. But I'm just thinking about how angry Satan is right now, because he had you down. He had you down, and he thought you were KO'd. And yet here you are now doing damage. Because when we step into our birthright as children of God, when we step into our identity, our God-given identities, and we take up those tools, those gifts, the strengths that God's given us, and we walk into the purpose that he has for us, we do some damage in the supernatural. We take back some ground. We take back some territory, and it's awesome.
That is good.
I agree.
Sight to behold. It's really, thank you again, both of you, for saying yes, for being obedient. Yeah. I have several more questions, but a few of them are going to be rapid fire, but I just want to say you're sharing your story so boldly with the whole world, ready for like whoever's going to hear this. What's your motivation and your hope behind this?
It's a good question.
Yeah. Statistics. Statistics prove that secret sexual struggles are alarmingly more common than we'd like to believe.
Yeah.
I think we looked at Barna's report, and it was something like 5 out of 8 people in the church, men and women, struggle in some way with pornography. If that was said about alcohol or some kind of other abuse, it would just be blatant. But because it's about this topic, there seems to be this really hidden stranglehold that has happened. And it's hard to talk about. I mean, let's just be honest. There's a part of me that never wants to talk about this. And at the same time, we've been given a grace to go first.
Yeah.
Right? We've been given a grace to go first so that other people can say, oh, you know what? Yeah, me too. If they're willing to share their vulnerability and their heartache and their problems, then maybe I can go too and say mine. It's this idea of leading out of our weakness.
Yeah. And I want to speak to the wives for a moment, the women listening. As a betrayed wife, I understand that every story is different. The details are all different in every one of our stories, but the pain is universal.
Yeah.
And this is the club that we never wanted to be a part of, right? And now we're found smack in the middle of it. And the excruciating pain of betrayal trauma does not care about the details of your story. This is hard. It's just hard. And my hope and my prayer for you today is that with Jesus, that you and your spouse can walk to the other side of this, and that you would be stronger and healthier and deeper in love as a result of this work. And I'm getting to taste that. So I know it's possible. But even if your marriage does not survive this, even if your spouse doesn't choose to do the hard work that this requires, I believe that there is still hope for you to experience wholeness in the presence of Jesus. And that's my prayer for each of you.
I'm going to take that one step further. Yes and amen, friend. I'm going to take it one step further and say there is hope for you if you choose.
Yes.
On that note, Nikki, what would you say to the woman who is, who just had her D-Day or just had her therapeutic disclosure and it was shocking, who's mad at God or bewildered or asking, why didn't you tell me sooner? Why didn't you warn me? Why didn't you stop him? What would you say to that woman in light of what you just shared?
I would say that makes so much sense that you feel that way. And though this is really hard right now, and though this feels all consuming, like the pain might never stop, that there is still hope. There's still hope to walk through this. It's a moment by moment experience in a lot of ways. Forget the day by day or even longer. This is a moment by moment pressing into Jesus and saying, I don't know how to make it through this, but you do. And so I'm going to follow you in this journey.
Full
to the
body
other
chills.
side.
As you're saying that, I'm thinking about Mercy Me's song, Even If.
Yeah. Yes.
Encourage you all to go listen to that.
Yeah.
It's a heart posture and it's a decision to trust what we've always known about God. And if what you know about God is damaged, if you don't feel like you truly know who God is, if you don't see him as loving and patient and kind and slow to anger and just crazy about you, then I would encourage you to go back and listen to the episode I posted not too long ago with Paul Goulet that talks about reconciling your God concept, because there's healing to be done there. God's resume is 1 Corinthians 13, verses 4 through 8.
Yeah.
You can replace anytime your Bible says love or charity with God's name.
Yes.
Because that is his character and nature, and that is how he feels about us. So thank you for sharing that. The next question that I have for you is the phrase taking it to the grave. Let's talk about that elephant in the room for a minute. And my question there is, what's the harm in that? In your words, I would love to hear from you both what you think the harm of taking it to the grave does.
Yeah. Well, on my side of that, the harm is that it rots inside of you and kills you. Nikki put a little Post-it note on our refrigerator partway in the very beginning of our journey. That I think she got off of a Pure Desire podcast, maybe, or something.
Before disclosure.
That says you can only be as free as you're willing to be honest.
Well, yeah, she's told us about that.
I hated that little Post-it note for a long time.
I'm just going to be. Can I expose you a little bit, Nikki?
Yeah, go ahead.
Yeah, it was strategic. She wanted you to see that.
Sure. Yeah. Oh no, there's that's not a surprise, right? It doesn't mean I didn't hate it.
I know.
But I
say that again. Repeat it. You're only
as free as you're willing to be honest.
Yeah.
And so I learned early in our recovery that honesty has a tendency to sound like a lawyer. And so you can be honest and still hide stuff.
Yeah.
And what we found was that openness is a whole new level, and openness would require the things that are floating around in my brain that she would have no reason to ever ask me about. Those are the things that I need to bring to the light. Those are the things that still can have potential to grab hold of me, lasso a hold of me, and drag me to sin. So,
but if they're out in the open and not in the dark any longer, then they lose their power. They lose their grip.
Yeah. So taking something to the grave on my side is this, it almost sounds, you trick yourself when you say it, that you're being the hero. that you're the one that's going to benefit. Well, you're not going to be the one that benefits, but they're going to benefit from you holding it. And the truth is that you end up slowly dying in front of them, and that doesn't help them at all.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
When
I
you
think
say that, it makes me think of the scripture that David said, when I did not confess my sin. I'm going to butcher this verse, but it was something about it. When I did not confess my sin to you, my bones wasted away.
yeah.
And we do lie to ourselves. We think that we can be the superhero. We think, oh, I'm strong. I have the capacity. I can bury this. But what that does is it fragments our psyche.
Yeah.
And it does not allow us to fully come before the Lord. We cannot, we can't hide it from him. So it's ever there between us and the Lord.
Yeah.
And that's not where it belongs. Confession is good for the soul, the
Yes.
Bible
Yes.
says.
Absolutely.
And it is good to be known, and it is good to be humble, and it is so hard. It is the hard work, but the fruit is awesome. It's overwhelming. And I mean awesome in the true definition of that word. It inspires awe.
Yeah.
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 Yeah. Okay. Great answers, guys. Thank you for covering that. So, my last question, and then I would love to hear if you guys have any wrap up. But my last question, Clinton, is directed at you, friend. Could you talk for just a minute about, and I gave you a warning on this pre-roll, so hopefully you've been thinking about it a little bit, but we women get so confused and frustrated as to why so many men don't run for healing and resources and help out of this, like a man set on fire running for a pond, like to put the fire out. Instead, they just sit there on fire. They sit there and let the damage continue to go. They minimize. I know a lot of them probably feel like deer in headlights. They don't know where to go or what to do or where to start. They don't know what they don't know. But I also think after watching the Conquer series with Dr. Ted Roberts, Doug Weiss highlighted in there that that these addictions can damage the brain. They can damage that neuroplasticity and those neuro pathways in the mind. But I just was in a women's group last week where the woman said, "I don't get it. If I were the offending spouse, I would crawl across cut glass to make it right and to do the right thing." And yet the men will even go and do a therapeutic disclosure sometimes and say, "I'm taking my healing seriously," and then do so very little, if not nothing. They just let it go. Can you explain that at all?
I will give it an attempt. How's that?
Sure. Fair.
So, let's start by saying we have a society that has modeled something very different for us men than doing the very thing that you're asking of us to do. In fact, so much so that lots and lots of, I dare say, most men are raised with this idea that we don't cry, we don't show emotion, aren't even really allowed to feel pain. If it's kind of that old adage, oh, just rub some dirt in it and let's get back to work kind of feeling. And
Eat a
so,
pound of nails for breakfast every day.
yeah, yeah. And it doesn't matter that there's no truth in it. It's just what's been recycled in front of us and over all of our lives. That's what we've seen in one way, shape, or form. On top of that, you end up with men who view their wives or even just women as not able or not strong enough to hold this. And so it's this savior / hero complex of I'm going to hold all this, and as long as I hold it all in me and care for it, she won't have to. Right now, this is before the disclosure or whatever. This isn't concerning the doing the work that you were mentioning after disclosure, but on the front side, that's one of the views that they take. And then to look at it even differently in the doing the work, there is this incredible hindrance that we have here in our society of what I will look like if
Mm.
I humbled myself or if I chose to be vulnerable or
Like you're gonna lose points on your man card?
not just points. You get the man card, taken away, and then every man views you as this weak, lesser person,
Do
right?
guys think that other men will see them as a traitor, kind of? Like, this is part of what we get to do and you're exposing that, or
What they don't know is that every man is just waiting to be found out.
Oh, wow. Wow, Clinton.
And so we end up in this place where you actually do break through and confess and are vulnerable and are humble and you do these things. And then you have guys that look at you like, how in the world did he do it?
Mm,
But you don't ever get to know that until you've walked through.
okay. Okay.
So unfortunately, it's ingrained so deeply that, okay, I got found out. Big air quotes there. I got found out. And so I'm going to go do this therapy thing with my wife because that way she doesn't leave me.
Mm,
And then when it comes to the homework, I'm just going to show up and I'm going to check my boxes.
do the bare minimum.
Because if I show myself to be weak in any way, then what will they do? They'll eat me alive and I can't be found lacking.
Okay. So I see a second book in your future. So what I'm getting from you, friend, is that men need the cheerleading and the encouragement, and even maybe the invitation to redefine masculinity and to redefine uh, w- what freedom looks like.
And that is an extreme uphill battle.
Mm,
Because the sad part is that, ladies, you can't cheer him on into that
mhm,
because your cheering him on is asking him to commit suicide in the societal bind that he's in. However, if he has another man that comes alongside of him who has lived in that realm and says, I've been there, I've walked through this, you can do this, take my arm, we'll do it together, there becomes a brotherhood that is incredible.
mm,
Absolutely incredible.
mm. So, okay, so we can pray, we can speak truth, we can pursue our own healing, we can work on that spiritual intimacy. But I think what I'm hearing you say here is when it comes to redefining that man card, what masculinity looks like, what freedom looks like, and how to get it, it needs other men. Men need men.
Yeah, men do need men. And, we were created different places, right? Um, man was created outside the garden and Eve was created inside the garden. We were created in the wild. We were created in the wilderness and the rough and it's almost impossible for our wives to speak that into us because that's not where they were created. That's not their job. It's my job as an elder in my community and as a man to find other men and speak life and identity into them that they can't get anywhere else. Yeah.
So then, Nikki, what would you say to the woman who is doing her own healing and yet abiding while her husband is hopefully becoming transformed? And it
Yeah,
is a slow, oftentimes slow as molasses process.
it is. I think I would say have patience and have grace for yourself in the
Mm,
process too. Find your own community to get knit into while, we've talked a lot today about how we did this journey together. There was a lot of it that was intermingled, but in the midst of that, I still had my women, my group of women who got it, who could just be with me in my pain while he was doing his work as well. And so I would say to find that secure community that you can share life with and speak to one another encouragement in this long and arduous and hard process. We need each other. We
Mhm.
really do.
too.
Yeah.
Yeah. with that, it does bring a different, even again, that cord of three strands. Just we need community. We need the connection. We are made for connection.
Yes.
And we each play our part. So I loved this episode. I cannot wait to get it live. I'm going to work on it today and get it out there as soon as possible, because I'm a huge believer in making our message. And your message is so full of hope and joy and do action items, and people need to hear it. I'm so grateful for both of you that you said yes to the Lord, that you obeyed and you did the hard work. And I'm so grateful for your friendship. Thank you.
Thank you. It was so good to be with you and be able to share the goodness of the Lord.
Yeah. And thank you for stewarding your gift well. We really appreciate you.
Yes.
Thank you, brother. I appreciate that. It is a joy, isn't it, to use our gifts?
It is.
Friends, we hope that you've gotten so much out of this episode. Please feel free to send an email if you have questions, comments, needs. The email address will be in the show notes. We hope this episode helped you so much in your healing journey and gave you some hope and maybe some new gratitude practices as well.
Thank you for joining us on the Betrayal, Recovery, Transformation podcast. We hope you found today's discussion helpful and empowering. For more information, please be sure to check the show notes. Until next time, be kind to yourself and keep pursuing healing. A ministry supported by Pure Life Alliance.